So we're now in the period before Parshat Para, special Parsha concerning the red cow, and we had already Parshat Shkalim and Parshat Achor, and another week we'll have Parshat Achodesh, 4 special Parshiot. So this, the Mishnah Berurah describes as follows. There are 4 things which you remember between Adar and Nisan. The first is Parshat Shkalim, to remember the mitzvah of half the shekel, which they were obliged to bring for the daily offering in the temple. So every Jew had to make his contribution towards this. No difference in rich and poor, each one gave half a shekel. The second one, Parshat Achor, to remember the battle of Amalek against the people of Israel. And this is read in the Shabbos before Purim, in order to put it together with the successor of Amalek, that was Haman, and also to remind us of the duty to blot out his memory and his character. Or was the character of cruel killings of others, where there's no reason for it, except the desire to destroy the human conscience. And also, it says in the Megillah, Hayamim ha'ele nizkarim v'na'asim, these days of the destruction of the success of Amalek, they have to be remembered. And the third one is the red heifer. That's the Shabbos before the Parsha of Achodesh, before the 4th Parsha, before the month of Nisan. Because the burning of the Para Aduma, which is necessary to remove purity connected with too much met. I mean, anyone who's been in contact in certain different ways, or been under the same roof as a human corpse, is not allowed to enter into the temple. Has to be purified. The procedure of purification is done with the ashes of the Para Aduma. And that had to be done immediately after the establishment of the sanctuary, so that the people could enter into the sanctuary, participate in the service, had to be pure. Especially if they wanted to participate in the Pesach. And that's why this Parsha is read. We hope also that Hashem will sprinkle over us water of purification. Because in Cheskel, the water of purification which Hashem will pour over us before redemption is reflected in this mitzvah of Para Aduma. 4th one is Parshat Chodesh. That's the Shabbat right before the first day of Nisan, or to sanctify the new month of Nisan, as it says, Achodesh zilachem rosh chodashim. So that's the external aspect, might say, of this mitzvah, of the 4 Parshiot. But to understand it deeply, I want here to paraphrase the insight of the Maral. It says like this. Those who can follow Hebrew, I want to the original. We know that Haman he came with a suggestion to King Ahasuerus to decree that all the Jewish people in the empire, young people, old people, and children, should all be destroyed on one day. It says, said the king of Esther, if the king agrees, let it be written as a decree, they should all be destroyed. And here I'm giving you 10,000 talents of silver in order to also that you should agree, which was a very large amount of money at that time. And exactly it corresponds to the concept of 600,000. In other words, this can contain 600,000 shkalim, equivalent to that amount of the 10,000 talents of silver. And the Mishnah says, on the first of Adar, we make it known that the Jews have to bring shkalim in order to make the daily offering that's brought, and it's keves of the lamb. So he said, well, you know, there can be a lamb, but they can be, if the one little lamb, Hagada, is surrounded by 70 wolves, there's not much chance that it can survive. And in a certain way, at the time of Ahasuerus, he included in his empire many of the 70 nations. So Haman said, you know, you with the empire, we've got Jews under our dominion, and we can get rid of them, annihilate them. So that's why Hashem said, you go and give your shkalim for the daily offering, in time when there's a temple, and then afterwards continue to dedicate your possessions to Hashem. He'll protect you. Even protect you against Haman. This is the concept. The shkalim are brought for korbanot. And korbanot, if Am Yisrael give korbanot as a nation, they represent thereby, we are the possession of Hashem. And Hashem will protect us against all our enemies. So also today, we hope, well, it's not written here, but it can apply to today, when there's so much money being invested in weapons, and many of those weapons are even well prepared with the ability to wipe out the people of Israel, also some of their friends. So we say, no, we give ourselves over to Hashem. And Hashem, if we do it in a strong manner, means for all the Jews who work together to support Israel and fellow Jews, to support them materially also to support them spiritually, then our power will be stronger than theirs. That's the idea behind it. The korban is hikriv et atzmo. The giving of the shkalim is a concept, subjectively, symbolically, giving ourselves over to God, and then Yisrael, people of Israel, belong to God. And therefore, there's no way the people can be given over, kosev le'abdam, by our enemies, to be destroyed. So we know that Haman came to Ahasuerus to assist him but it's not going to help. So what happened? So Haman thought with his 10,000 talents of silver he can buy the people from Achashverosh, and now we'll destroy them. We add to this the comment that the word destroy, abdam, when he mentioned Achashverosh, he didn't say lahashmit la'arav al-abed. He didn't specify what type of destruction. In general, we'll destroy them, we'll weaken them. But on the surface of it, maybe at that time I was not aware of the fact that what he meant was destroy the religion, because he also spoke that religion divide them from the rest of the empire, but also to kill them all and also to burn them all up. That's how he describes it later. So now there's an unusual parable brought into the Gemara. If you want to understand what was the agreement between Haman and Achashverosh, there are two people. One of them has got a whole big mound in the middle of his field, and he wants to get rid of it because he's using the field for growing crops, and this mound not really much use. It's an obstacle. So he wants to flatten the field. Maybe even intends to build on it, so it's an obstacle to him. And there's a person nearby who has got a deep pit. He wants to fill it up, to level it. So the person who's got this mound of rough earth and stones, he says to the one who's got a deep pit, he says, that the truth is, I would like to have a pit. I would like to have a pit into which I can put my mound of rough earth. I've got to get rid of somewhere. So the person who's got the pit, he says, on contrary, I need your earth to level out my field. So the owner of the mound says, you can have the earth free of charge. Don't need to pay for it. You're doing me a big favor. I want to get rid of it. So two types of anti-Semitism. Achashverosh, he was opposed to the people of Israel. Like all the largest, most powerful empires in the world, the Arba Malchus, they find that the Jewish people are an obstacle. Because we know that those who seek to rule the whole world, they somehow find the Jews and their concept opposes them. But they want the whole world because they don't want human conscience, which considers the value of each person. No, we take over. We rule the world. And therefore, that's what's happened in human history. They find their greatest enemy is the Jews. Not rational, but it's subconsciously motivated by the enormous desire that they say, I am God, or I'm a godly power, and the Jews say that God rules the world. Especially rules the arrogant potentates who think they can rule the world and threaten everyone else with enormous power. And then those who don't listen to the inner religious aspects here, who say that right is might and not vice versa. They think might is right. They say human power rules about everything. The Jews say no, God rules, and ultimately those who desire to reach the top, they're the ones who will be thrown to the bottom by the rule of the world. So really, what's the difference? So Ahasuerus, he said, we've got to smooth things out, get rid of this obstacle to build higher and higher this mound of earth, the Jewish people, an obstacle. So they think, for example, let you put it the following way. Here they think, we've got to get rid of their buildings, rid of the big high buildings, also of those who are friends of the Jews. That's Ahasuerus. Because the Jewish people don't belong to the potentates of the world. They don't want to be absorbed by them either. That's like Ahasuerus didn't like the high heap of useless earth in the middle of his field. And because he's after all the king over everything, and everything is under his malchus. Ahasuerus on Malik B'Kippur, it says, he ruled the world right from the top. So therefore, the Jews are an obstacle. On the other hand, Haman is the one who takes it out from the domain of Ahasuerus. Luli, as it says in Tehillim, Luli Hashem she'elonu b'kum alein Adam. If Hashem had been with us when a man rose up against us, and not a king. Because the king, his rulership is to remain established, but human being, his main purpose is just destruction. The king wants a smooth place to rule. But the other anti-Semite says, we can't stand the existence of the Jewish people. That's why by Ahasuerus it's called Yisrael, called the Tel, because the Tel does not really damage the field, only it's an obstacle. But the Charitz, the deep pit means non-existence, means nothing, means things you fall into. And therefore, by Haman, the people of Israel are considered a deep pit. There's the scum of the earth. They're the ones who destroy everything that they think is high. That by Haman, Israel are considered a pit. The pit represents non-existence. But by Ahasuerus, they're not really a pit. They're just an obstacle. And that's why the Shkalim of Haman, he wanted to acquire the people of Israel into his possession from Ahasuerus, to take them from him, that they shouldn't be in the world. Because that means, you put it this way, in simpler fashion, that, called the other comment, that the main thing that even Haman said at the beginning was the Jews have a different lifestyle. And therefore, I can't rule over them smoothly because they keep apart. Everything do separately. That's why Dosei HaMelech Einam Osim. And therefore, I've got to equalize everybody else. It shouldn't stand out as a separate religion or separate culture. But Haman went further. Haman said, they are like snakes and scorpions, which are in a pit. If we leave a pit, it becomes filled with snakes and scorpions. They are danger. And therefore, it's not enough that we should remove their religious identity or their cultural identity or the knowledge that they're Jews. And they should feel they've got to know, they've got to be part of the Persian Empire in every way. They've got to participate in equal way and not stand out as being something separate. Because it's the obstacle to being the complete ruler over all the different groups that exist in this worldwide empire. But Haman says, no, that's not good enough. I'd better buy the people from you, and now they're under me, and I'm going to make sure that they not only they will be like the other people, they lose their special identity as Jews, as Israel, but I've got to burn them up and make sure there's nothing left of them in this world. So that was the importance of the Shkalim. And then comes the commandment we're given, this Amalek. Amalek, like Haman, he really opposes the rulership of God. That's Parshat Zachor, which comes next. Therefore, that is the essence of because they're the ones who say we're going to destroy the Jewish people because they represent the human conscience, and they do represent that what happens in the world is guided by God, and we say no. We've got to know. Deutschland über alles. And what all that came to. It's got to be über alles. Germany has to be over everything in the world. And the Jews say no. You can't go and use human power to go and destroy the human conscience, and which is really the voice of God within man. Then afterwards comes Parshas Paro, because the mitzvah of Amalek and Parshas Paro are both of them to oppose those powers that are the opposite of the purpose of Israel. One of them from the physical aspect, the other from the spiritual aspect. Because Amalek, he wants to destroy the whole of the people of Israel from this world. In this world, which is a materialistic world, I mean, to some extent this reflects, they'd say, the philosophy of Nietzsche, the physical world, where in the struggle for existence, the strongest survive, and the weakest have to disappear. And that's also the seed of the seed of Amalek is Haman. He really wants to destroy them in every way, physically, even to burn them out physically. But Parshas Paro, what did it come for? To purify the soul. That's the concept of Tumah. Tumah is a spiritual impurity which creates a blockage between God and man. When a person is tamei, he must not go into the encampment of the divine presence, because if it's impurity, it's a block. Amalek, it says, it says in future times, Har Esav will the evil of Esav will disappear. And we say as long as the seed of Esav is left, there's still a barrier between Hashem, between the people of Israel. Once that seed becomes removed, then the next stage is to remove the tumah from the world. If it's impurity, it's only in future times, it says, in future times, the prophets say, Hashem will remove the power of evil from the world. Ruach HaTumah Avir. Amen. I'll take away the spirit of impurity from you. So, this is the removal of the last barrier between God and the people, and the time will come that it said the knowledge of Hashem will cover the earth to such a strong extent impurity will go away. And then Hashem will give a new heart, new spirit to the people of Israel. That's Parshat HaChodesh. When we bring korbanot to Hashem, starting with the korban Pesach, and for that we need purity. So this is the concept of these four parshas. And that's why we end with a renewal. And because of the renewal, the concept is to get a new heart. Whatever impurities in our heart, in our conscience, and also as a result, also in the whole world, the inner purity of the divine image of Hashem in the conscience of human beings becomes suppressed through the strong forces of impurity. Ultimately, that will disappear, and then with the redemption as is described by all the prophets. So this is a deep insight from the Maharal. If you have any questions, please, or comments. On any subject. Yes. Yes.
Why is Israel compared to a pregnant woman?
Why is
Israel compared to a pregnant woman? I'm Yisrael. Why are we compared to a pregnant woman in the coming days of the Messiah? You know, in this exile.
Which verse are you referring to?
I don't know.
No? There's a comparison which we also referred to on Tisha B'Av. A pregnant woman who has great birth pangs.
Yeah, birth pangs.
And more than that, the days before the redemption are called Chavli Mashiach in quite a few prophets. The birth pangs of the Mashiach. So we know a woman is very happy, is going to have a child.
Yeah.
But when the birth pangs become very strong, sometimes become so strong, she says, I wish I wouldn't be pregnant, because they're so strong. So, even many women go through a trauma. Sometimes they suppress it, but, well, no. It says already in the Chumash that the birth pangs are very, very difficult. So similarly also, before the people of Israel were born, as a nation, we had terrible pains. Tortures, killing. Girls were raped and women were drowned in the Nile, and backbreaking work, which also killed many of them. So we went through a lot of suffering. But from the suffering came the salvation. From the birth pangs, it's also a good mother, let's say, if the woman that has daughters, as he pains, she said, well, you're going to have such a lovely baby, think of that. And that calms them down. And even the thought of the type of baby they want to have, they hope will have, has a soothing effect. But it doesn't help so much for many women. And certainly when they become very, very, very strong, they cry out. Often they cry out, to help them. So that's why there's certain ways of having special training. You should have more natural birth, it should be easier. Or then they give painkillers and so on. But still, it's very difficult. So that's the mashal. And so certainly the Holocaust was a terrible, terrible birth pan. I mean, this is the concept of Golos and Gola. If you put your trust in Hashem, and you say, well, Hashem is going to help me, He's going to help the Jewish people, and we have to work hard in the ghettos and in the death camps. They used to say, let's have a little song, they didn't say, Ibaleben, we will be able to come out alive against our enemies, against what they want to do to us, and that's what kept the people going. I must say that to a great extent, we were shown after these most terrible sufferings that we were given a partial rejuvenation at birth. It's still difficult for many, but that's part of being a Jew. We have to try our best to overcome, and without giving up our identity. Don't give up. Use is shlomidat. If people give up hope, then it's well known that in sickness, general sickness, people give up hope, then it's much more difficult for them to become healed. And we have hope in Hashem that He will redeem us as individuals in suffering, or as the nation. Part of the nation is that they're also in great suffering. We have to put our own house very much in order, to make sure that as a nation today, I think one of the main things that Hashem asks from us is here in Israel to remove poverty, but work hard on that, and we have to, each one of us, increase chesed, loving kindness. The time when the newspapers tell us the constant cruelties are not to become influenced by the method of dealing with life which you find surrounding us. So I let it apply to something that happened to me this morning. I mean, before davening, I just look at the headlines because it might be quite important. And I had an appointment this morning to go to the clinic. I did see some headline, there's a strike on because of violence. Violence by whom? Violence in the health clinics. In some health clinic here in Israel, some of the patients at the health clinic, they were violent with the staff. Well, so I went to the Kupat Cholim here, got notice up, closed until 10, because all the Kupat Cholim in the country have closed, and there's other things, they've all gone on strike, because they say we cannot allow violence. It's bad enough violence rules many of the schools. Now violence is ruling the doctors and the nurses. They're frightened. Violent people come. And I'm not talking about mental institutions. They expect and have to deal with it, with proper security personnel. But this goes into hospitals. It's in hospitals as well. And maybe, I don't know what went on at Lhasa, so many doctors, I think it's got something to do with that as well. There's too much violence around. Why? Because you see violence on all the mass media. We know it's going on in the whole world. And violence produces results, unfortunately. Yeah? People think through violence they become rich, through violence they get their way done. The Shalom, got to mention all the ways of the Torah, ways of peace. Maybe it's totally our fault, because totally fault of our spiritual leaders. We perhaps don't spread the concept of peaceful resolution of all matters sufficiently amongst the wider public, and the pursuit of peace. The truth is, the pursuit of peace of the Torah goes, if you apply it today, called the circumstance day of halacha, we should be trying, non-stop, emphasizing and work on that. And to some extent, it's being done. That the Torah says peaceful, yes, but if there's an enemy that wants to kill you, then you need protection. Then you've got to be able to defend yourself wherever you are. The Shulchan says that even if non-Jews want to start attacking the Jewish people on Shabbos, when they know that people on Shabbos, they're not going to have guns with them, so there's a duty to defend ourselves wherever we are. That's the Shulchan for today. Even more so here in Israel, we have to. All the lies and other ways they use in order to rob us of our rightful possessions. We've got to defend ourselves, but we've got to do every method possible to kind of work out for peaceful resolutions of conflicts. Also, at the highest level, international level, relations with other nations, and also at the common level. Any other questions?
Yes. Purim.
Yes.
If one were to examine the chronicles of the history of Persia, Persian Empire, would we find the story of Purim in the history books of Persia?
Yes.
It would be there?
If you could find enough, if we could find enough history books. But there's a great deal. First of all, in this book you also find historical background, and it's a book. I've got a book on Purim and the Persian Empire, with records from Persian times, which have come up through enormous archaeological excavations which have been made, and all the remnants that exist, also many ancient records that exist. So I'll bring that. I brought it home to show to the children. It's really from the yeshiva. I'll bring it Belineda tomorrow, so you can see it also. It's a recent work by someone who's a big expert in studying the Persian Empire. He's written, in fact, he wrote another book now, fully illustrated. He's been to the museums all over the world to take all the records and also the archaeological sites of the Persian Empire and also the Babylonian Empire that preceded it. He's done another one now to explain all the references mentioned in the book of Jeremiah concerning the predecessor, the Persian Empire, which was the Babylonian Empire. So today there are a lot of records that confirm and describe the things mentioned in the Megillah in a visual fashion. Many of them explains what plays the two parts, the Shushan Abira. If you go in the text of the Megillah, you see there was Shushan Abira, and this general Shushan, and how it all happened, the relationship between the Medes and the Persians. So, but here in this, that's why I brought this one. This doesn't give anything visual, But he gives a lot of the records, yes, in this book. It's, especially if you look at your question from yesterday, yes. Gives a chart to show the dates, how they fit in with what's known from outside sources. In the Megillah also it said, if you want to know more about the history behind all this, they're written in the books of the Malchei Parasomodai, of the different kings of Persia and Media. That one conquered the other, but there was, then they joined together. So that's all described.
It would mention Haman and Esther. Would it be embodied in the history books or referenced from other areas?
Well, there are some records, but exactly what exists, you find in his books in detail. So the book, but when he produced it, it's got a video on it also. He gave a video with a commentary. It's called Rabbi Landi. But he's a major historian of those periods. And not just historian, he has gathered together the results of excavations which continue all the time with further indications. Like here in Israel, there are constantly further aspects of excavations that support the ancient records that we've got in the Tanakh, in the Bible.